I started work at 6 o'clock that morning, serving my first breakfast. I finished at 5 o'clock the next morning, more than exhausted. The only break I got all day was during the President's actual visit, when we had no customers and I was allowed to run down to the quayside to see him and listen to him speak. But of course, the moment he finished, I had to run back to work again. It was a very important day for everybody in Ross, not just because we had a business and we were going to make some money. It was an important day because this man came into our lives who told us that we should have ambition, we should have hope, that maybe not all of us would reach the presidency of the United States, but we might reach the presidency of our own country, or of a local community, or of a company. But hope was what he gave us. He brought a light into our lives that we hadn't seen before. For years I compared it to pop stars, but it was not at all like pop stars, it was much more. 1963 Ireland, certainly 1963 New Ross, was a very drab place to live in. We hadn't really recovered much from the Second World War. We were grey and dull. Colour wasn't part of our lives, but the town had been painted for his visit. The shop fronts had been painted, the houses had been painted, and suddenly colour came into our lives. Also television. My parents didn't own a television until he came, and they bought their first one so that they could follow him around Ireland. And lots of other people did exactly the same thing. So the effect he had on us was to bring the world into a town that had been totally isolated up to that point. My first meal, as I said, was breakfast that morning at 6 o'clock. Newspaper sellers had come from Dublin with the delivery of the newspapers to sell in Ross that day, and they woke me up demanding their breakfast. Of course, because the restaurant was then open, it couldn't be closed again, so we were busy for the rest of the day. We ran out of the first items of food at about 9 o'clock that evening, given that we had really stocked the place knowing that this was going to happen. By midnight we were out of most things, but I sold my last bowl of soup at 5 o'clock the following morning, not even having a bread roll to serve with it because everything else in the restaurant was gone. We had probably covered as many meals that day as we would cover in your normal 1 year. The town was crowded, people had come from far and wide. We had journalists who had no place to write their piece, to send it. So Reuters news agency used my bedroom to send their photographs back to their base. And I wasn't unique. This was happening for all my friends, all my neighbours, that everybody who had a square inch of space that could be used was used on that day. The town buzzed. We all buzzed. The President went out to his ancestral home. As many people as possible could get there, went there. The television cameras followed him, but they also stayed in town and followed us, and we had fame and fortune for 24 hours.